Yes, people, welcome back to the SPTC Podcast. I, as always, am your host, Jay McIntosh, joined by Mr. Simon Phillips, who might sound as if he's on the White Cliffs of Dover, but he does have 3 fans pointing in his face because it's a heat wave. So I think that's perfectly fine and acceptable. Si, how are you doing? You're looking a little rude. I imagine you've been out in the sun.
I've tried to stay out of the sun, to be honest, but yeah, it's been obviously because I've got a 2-year-old and you can't exactly explain to him that it's too hot to go outside, so we have had to go outside a bit. My parents had a paddling pool out there yesterday, but yeah, I mean it's only today, tomorrow maybe, and then we'll all be moaning about the rain and stuff next weekend, won't we?
Yeah, 100%. It has been hot. Like, as you know, Sign, as some people listening know, I got a puppy last week. So having the puppy in this heat, thankfully we got the AC, but like, damn,
Yeah.
the heat's brutal, especially as a very pasty ginger boy, as you kindly reminded me in the week.
Morning message, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yes, yeah, it was very kind of you. It's been hot. I tell you what has been hot has been Chelsea's transfer business side. What a segue. You mentioned before recording that we sort of did the player profiles on Pestria and Lacroix and stuff last week, and I spent some time with Luke and Danny on the Blues feed going into Pestria more. So if people need like a deeper dive, it's over there. There's great pieces out everywhere as well that you can find out some information about him. Let's start on Pestria just quickly though. Now that it's confirmed, obviously I've been atting people on social media for moaning too much. People don't feel there's a slight conflict because he's still slightly unproven and all that sort of stuff. But are you happy with the move?
Yeah, from what I've seen of him, he does look very good, and I think the standout thing for everyone should be the fact that Alonso wants him, and that's not just some hearsay stuff. I've heard it, like every source has reported it. He is a player that Alonso has said that I really want him to come in to help play the way I want to play. So we've all been saying, if you've got your manager, you've worked hard on getting Alonso in the door. Now work hard on backing him in the market with whatever he wants. So Pestria is definitely an Alonso signing rather than a club signing. So I think that's what people who don't know the player should be looking at first and foremost, and then go and do your research on the player and see that, yeah, he actually does have a lot to bring. We did speak about him last week, and since then, because I knew the rumours were growing and stuff, I did watch a couple of his full 90-minute games, and yeah, there's definitely a lot to love about the player. I think on the other side of that, to play devil's advocate for people who are feeling a bit concerned about it, is obviously the fact that he doesn't come with many senior appearances to his name, and that's just a fact. So there is that slight element of risk of a new player coming into the Premier League from Italy. He's got to settle in a new country. He's got to settle in a tough league, but he's got the credentials. He ticks a lot of the boxes, and he is what Alonso wants. So, we have to back it and allow it to play out. Don't expect too much. Let him settle and just see what he can bring.
Yeah, I think Italians settle fairly quick in London, to be fair. So I think he'll be a nice move for him. And yeah, like you said, we've done the detail, we've done the graft on trying to get across how good he can be. I would say the big concern for me is, as what you said, the limited game time, but potentially more so is that with Cagliari, he averages like 25 to 35 passes a game because they don't have the ball that much. You would expect that to easily double in the Chelsea side, I suppose, depending on what the role is. So it'll be interesting to see whether his in-possession passing game will sort of take a step up, but everything else is sort of showing signs that it will do. I guess the bigger talking point side now that Palestria's locked in and confirmed is Maxence Lacroix from Palace. And by default, therefore, I know that you've been hearing it, I've been hearing it, is Adam Wharton. So what's the sort of Palace-Chelsea situation? And I know that this is sort of all the talking points in one, but because of the Como interest in Chalobah, who has been at Palace, we're likely to get them half. So what's the situation around these sort of 3 players, and do they rely on each other or are they completely independent?
So you mentioned Chalobah with Como. That's definitely one that can happen, but also watching with Palace, because what I understand right now is Chelsea are talking with Palace. Obviously, the Lacroix stuff has come out. So essentially, they're talking about him trying to get a fee agreed there, but they're also talking about other players. And we know Chelsea have wanted Wharton for, well, all season they've been trying to lay down the groundwork and set this move up for the summer. He stays as their priority target if Enzo Fernandez leaves. He's a player that Alonso, again, says he wants. He's told the board that, yeah, I really want Wharton to come in. I see him as the guy, who can drop in and dictate the play. So he's the one that Chelsea want. He's the one that Alonso wants. Chelsea will still try and sign Wharton if and when Enzo Fernandez goes, because I think it is more when. So he's the replacement for Fernandez. And yeah, as you say, they are all connected situations. Palace have been mentioning players from Chelsea who they want to come in because, everyone says Palace is surely not going to sell us two of their best players in the same window. Which is something you'd be like, no, surely not. But if there's something in it for them as well, I've got a feeling, they're going to listen at least. And Palace have mentioned Josh Achimpong in talks with Chelsea. He's a player that they want. And I know Chelsea have said, he's one of the indispensables. I don't believe he is. I think Chelsea might consider throwing him in there, especially because we know Josh has been unhappy with his game time. Josh has gone to Chelsea and told them this. He's asked for assurances. I've heard that his dad has been really angry and getting involved in it as well. So I think they can push for a move if Palace say, look, we want Josh, and then they get wind of it. I think that could easily happen now. And then, the other player is Chalobah. Obviously, we know Palace have had an admiration for him for a long time, and they would love to sign him. Como are pushing hard, and the thing there is Chalobah is actually interested in going to play in Serie A, so he might turn down and move to Palace. I'm not sure yet, but the other player, not my info, I was speaking to, you mentioned him earlier, Danny Windsor from Bluesfeed. I was speaking to him this morning. He gets very good info. He said that Palace have also asked about Disasi. So that's three players I know of that could potentially go into the deals for Wharton and Lacroix. And if that happens, then I think it would be much easier for Chelsea to get these two players that they want from Palace. But the situation right now is the talks are happening as we talk here now. And I don't know whether they'll all come together at the same time, because obviously I mentioned the important thing with Wharton is that Fernandez needs to go first. We cannot sign him or do anything with him until Fernandez goes. So I think it could all be separate, but, the talks are happening over these players now, and we could end up seeing, a situation where two come to Chelsea and two or three go to Palace.
Yeah. The clubs, the side's getting taller. We mentioned last week, the side's getting gradually bigger, gradually taller. We mentioned last week, and I think we've said it a number of times. I think Lacroix would be a very capable addition to the team. I think he's definitely a level above Tosin, Disasi, Badiashile, Fofana personally, but I think he sits above those. I see Lacroix as someone in the back three who sits in the dead middle of the back three, with Levi on the left and maybe Hato as his deputy to left wing back, and then someone else right centre back. But I think Lacroix moves good. The Wharton moves good. I agree with you with Enzo. It is literally just if, when, not if, I suppose. They want to stump the money up, then great. The one person I did want to talk about as well is Jacobo Ramon from Como has been mentioned. Obviously, Chalobah's getting some attention from Como, which would be a nice move. Imagine getting the Como move. That's absolute dream settings. The Champions League football and live in Como. But Jacobo Ramon is a player I like loads, and I don't know to what extent these sort of rumours have any truth.
Yeah, so Chelsea have been speaking to Como as well this week. Literally yesterday, I put something out on it, and Chalobah is one of the players they've spoken about, and Como really want. As I said a minute ago, Chalobah is really keen on that move. Another player is Mark Yu up top for Chelsea. He's going to go somewhere this summer. I don't know where, but Como have mentioned him. Whether that's for a permanent move or a loan move, something can happen there. So he's another player they mentioned. And as you said there, Ramon is a defender that Chelsea have liked. They were actually looking at him in January. I think there was some reports that came out at that time, and he's on the list. He's quite high on the centre-back list. Chelsea had, it wasn't in this order, but these three were sort of up at the top they had Lacroix, and they had Van Heck, and they had Ramon as three of their main sort of centre-back targets for this summer. And obviously one of them's down already, he's gone to Tottenham, and Lacroix they're trying to get now. But Ramon is someone I think they would probably turn to if something happened with Lacroix and Palace that saw that move not going through. So, but yeah, he's definitely admired, and Chelsea have been speaking about him this week in the talks for Chalobah. So yeah, we'll see if anything comes of that. But there is also an element that I've reported it a number of times here in the last few months, that I can actually see two centre-backs coming in at Chelsea, so they could still go for him as well. It all depends on sales there and who they get out the door. You know, we're already talking about Chalobah, Disasi, Achimpong. Badiashile is expected to go as well. Still, there's question marks over Fofana, although he's a lot harder to shift because of his wages. So there's a lot of uncertainty at the back. So I can see more likely Chelsea get two new centre backs in rather than just one.
Yeah, Jacobo Ramon would be an unbelievable addition as well. I'm super happy with the business if they're looking in Italy, man. Like, Ramon is, again, for those that don't know, Real Madrid Academy, basically gone through sort of under-19s, Real Madrid C, the Castilla team, then into Real Madrid for a couple of, bit part appearances. Mainly sort of had this breakout season at Como, where his valuation is obviously massively increased. He's only 21 years old. He's 196 centimeters tall, which is about 6'5". The thing with Ramon is his on-the-ball ability is the standout thing. If we've got Lacroix as a bit more of a destroyer, he can play ball, but he's a little bit more of the destroy type, and maybe Colwell can bridge the gap for being both the physical destroyer and the ball player. Ramon is way more on the ball playing side. Very, very, very technically gifted. Very composed, very calm. Again, I know people don't want 21-year-olds, but sometimes certain players are just outstanding for that reason. He started 30 games this season, 2,750 minutes. I mean, picked up quite a few yellow cards and did get a red card, in fairness, but sometimes Italian football can be a little bit spiky. So it gets like that. But to go from, I know Como have had a lot of investment, and for example, they've got players like Jacobo Ramon from Real Madrid Academy, which they probably wouldn't have had 5 years ago. But to get them into the Champions League, I think I don't think it would have been massively unfair if Ramon won the Best Defender in Italy award last year. Pestria won it and fully deserved, but I don't think if Ramon won it, I don't think there would be a massive outcry. I don't think that would be the case at all. He's super gifted, and he's actually a player that you would want Pep to have should he get the chance. So if he can come and burn Alonso, then that'd be super ideal. And actually, going back to Wharton, the more I think about the Wharton move, the more I like it. I really rate the player. I think he's got everything we need for him to work at Chelsea, because like we've said before, I know some people don't like it, some people don't agree with me, but to an extent there's an incongruity with English players. Chelsea good points because there's always been difficulties around English players and it causes a divide in fan bases. All nonsense, really. But I think Wharton has the sort of technical ability and everything else to fit into this team and look damn good. Like, really good. Thoughts?
Yeah, again, it's the same with Pestria. He's a player that Alonso really wants. So we have to just back that, because we've all been asking for a top manager, an elite manager, and Alonso is that. So if that's what he wants, then we just have to back it. But as well as that, Wharton is a player that I really enjoy watching, and Chelsea wanted him since he was at Blackburn. So, it's not just an Alonso target; it's a Chelsea target. It's one of those rare ones where like everyone's like in the same line of thinking with him, and they really want him. So, you're hearing fees of like 100 million, and that's just a wild transfer market for Premier League players at the moment. It's just crazy. I don't think he would go for that much anyway, but it's probably, we paid it for Caicedo, we paid it for Fernandez, and at that time, people were saying the same thing. It's not worth it. But look at how good Caicedo's been. Fernandez is grown into it and got so much better recently. So you've got to pay the fees if you want the good players. And I think Wharton, if we're going to replace someone like Fernandez, you're going to have someone at Wharton's level to do it. And if Alonso sees him as the pinnacle player to play his style of football in that crucial position, then yeah, we've got to back it. But I agree with you. I think he's a beautiful player to watch, like technically gifted, and
that's exactly the right word. Yeah, he is beautiful.
Yeah, but also I think he gets a little bit of discredit for he is. I see him as quite a tough player as well. Like I see him as a physically good, robust player who can do the defensive side as well. I think he gets a bit of discredit for his lack of defensive stability. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think the only reason he gets that is because Glasner has realised that he's a chance-creating animal. So, like, evidently it's just stop defending so much and please use your ability to help us transition up the pitch. But I think he's robust. I don't think he lacks the physicality. And again, like, you play how many games he played for Blackburn? Like, he played nearly 50 games, 51 games for the Blackburn first team, plus another 50 in the under-21s and everything else. Like, nearly 100 games of Blackburn Rovers. Like, you can learn physical football playing Blackburn Rovers, I tell you that. You tell you that for free. But I think that, yeah, I'm with you. I think his defensive, his capability is the right word. I think his ability defensively has been shown to be different because he has to do so much on the ball, but his capability at defending, I think, is much greater. I like that he's left-footed, and I don't know, he's just got this. Elliot Anderson has it too, and there are a number of sixes across the world that have this ability, but Wharton's got this really sort of, it's like he doesn't walk on ice, he dances on ice, right? Like, he can play in those half spaces really nicely, and his output is so nice. The amount of times I've watched matches with him in or clips or whatever, and you see he does the turn and the pass perfect, and it's like, god damn, like, I'm not surprised Alonso wants him. I imagine Alonso would have been interested in someone like Anderson too, that will likely go to Man City for a British record fee. But I think I reckon Chelsea could probably get Wharton for 70, 75.
Yeah, around that. I mean, obviously with add-ons, then it will probably get billed at 100 million. But yeah, I reckon the base fee would be around that.
Yeah, I think so too. And then, like you say, you get a couple of Disarty and whoever else over to Palace, and things begin to look a little bit less intense. I think it's a really nice move. So I have been super confused, and I'm confused because I haven't done the research. What's the Pedro Netto thing?
So Netto, he was wanted by Sporting. So Sporting contacted Chelsea, asked about Netto. Chelsea said, you can speak to the player. Netto said, I'm not interested in moving there. But whilst Sporting were speaking to Chelsea, they obviously mentioned Max Araujo, because that's a left back that Chelsea have been looking at and reported it before. But Chelsea obviously used this opportunity to say, okay, you want to speak about Netto, let's chat about Araujo as well. Sporting obviously not keen to sell, but I think players quite keen to move this summer. So he's definitely one to watch, and a left-back target that Chelsea are looking at for this summer. Neto could definitely move. He's got interest. He's not one of the players that Chelsea are not interested in selling. They would definitely listen to offers for him like they are doing with Malo Gusto. So yeah, Neto could be one to watch at the moment, but he's not interested in going to Sporting. He's got Premier League interest, incidentally, although I don't know the names of the clubs yet that are interested in him. But yeah, it could be one to watch for the next few weeks.
Which Premier League club would go for Pedro Netto?
Yeah, I've been trying to get the name, but I haven't been able to get it yet. But there's at least one. So I think 2 Premier League clubs that have inquired about him, at least to his agent.
I bet you Bournemouth are one of them. I bet they're feeling a bit punchy. I back that so hard just because they're in Europe and going for it. That'd be class. Brighton, but yeah, I don't know. The Sporting move would be kind of fun. And actually, Maxi Araujo is super interesting player again. Like, rather than the sort of Pestria thing of being a super young player, Araujo is not a super young. He's 26 years old. Yeah, like, he's like a peak level player. He's super attacking. Like, he attacks like an absolute madman, borderline left winger at points. and his like actual defensive contributions are quite low. And when I say quite low, I mean remarkably low. But again, he plays for one of the two or three most dominant teams in the league. So, 85% of his time, he's going to be in all the time, just bombing it down the wing. But again, he's a decent height. He's not like super tall, but he's not mega diminutive. He's left-footed. I don't think his price would be absolutely crazy. He's played nearly 100 times for Sporting. I think he got 10 or 9 or something like 9, 10, 11 goal contributions in the league this season. He starts for Uruguay, starting at the World Cup, both games against Saudi and Cape Verde, both of which he's put in like unbelievably good performances, by the way. Arguably the best left-back performance in the tournament so far. So
yeah,
if Chelsea are going to go sniffing around there, I'm happy to do that. I think that's perfectly fine, and I think you get it for a fairly decent price. But so I mean, I know it's not necessarily transfer related, but I'm a little bit confused as to what's happening in this left wing back space. You've got Barco, who probably won't play there. So I'm not quite sure where Barco plays, unless he's meant to be a sort of a Sugo/Lavia replacement, whatever. I would rather Hato develop into a centre-back.
Yeah.
So what is actually happening on that side? Because if sorry to interrupt you, mate, can I just ask you a question? But if Lonzo plays with the back three predominantly, whatever, then the left wing back is not the same as the left wing, right? So it wouldn't be going for a Garnacho left replacement, Gittins replacement. It would be a different profile. Is that? What do you think?
So if Alonso's going for a back three, then it makes sense with Pestria and Araujo coming in, because they would be his wing backs. But if I've actually heard that he's more likely to start with a back four, but he's going to flex it. So he's not going to just stick with a back four or a back three. He's going to be more of a back four actually. And what I think might happen is, I still think we would need another left back, because you can't just rely on Hato. But I think you could see a more balanced back four then, with Pestria on one side playing as a fullback but an attacking fullback, and then Hato playing as a defensive fullback. So you've got that balance, and then you'd obviously then see the left winger that will be dropping a little bit deeper. So I think that it all depends on what Alonso's going to do. There's been left back names linked, different ones. Obviously, we just mentioned one there. I think is it Goodmanson from Leeds? Goodmanson?
Yes.
Yeah, he was linked yesterday. So that's another left back, and he was actually labelled as a Cucurella replacement. So I think at the moment why we're seeing contrasting things is that they're discussing the formations they're going to play, they're discussing the targets they need to play it, and it's going to jump between a back three and a back four. So there's also Quenda who can play as a left wing back, who has been spoken about for that role. It's going to be interesting to see how it all comes together, and I don't think we're going to know that really or see it until we start seeing the pre-season friendlies and Alonso testing out a few different formations and different options for each position. But it's really intriguing, isn't it? And it makes me excited to see how it's going to pan out and how the window's going to end and what we've got left and what Alonso's going to do with that. And I really hope that they get the players that he's asked for and he wants, because it could be good. It could be really good.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. It is exciting because at least the manager you can get behind in a full way, I suppose. Even with Rosinha or whoever, like we were pretty nice about Rosinha when he signed, and I think we're willing to back him. But that's for the sake of my own sanity and my affection for the club. Whereas Alonso, you can actually just kind of get behind. So let's see how it goes. And pre-season is going to be fascinating, and we'll talk about pre-season in a few weeks' time. Just to wait, before I change topic, are there any other transfer things you want to mention?
The last one is that I put out today is it's not a new one. Everyone's heard about it, but it's Morgan Rogers. And basically, all I've heard from my source yesterday is it's not, Chelsea are not giving up on him. He looks set for Arsenal. I do still think he's going to Arsenal, but Chelsea are still trying, which is what I got told this morning. Whether they get any success with that or not, I don't know. I think it all depends again on how hard Arsenal go for him. If Arsenal go all in, then he's going there. If they don't, if they stumble, if they mess him around, Chelsea could nip in and get him, because the Alonso factor has been playing a part there, and Rodgers has not said no to Chelsea. He prefers to go to Arsenal, but he's not said no to Chelsea because Alonso, and I think he's also keeping an eye on what we're doing in the market. So it's not over yet for Rodgers and Chelsea, even though it does look unlikely. But Chelsea have not given up yet.
Interesting. Okay, well, I'm sure everybody will be kept abreast of the developments as they happen from you on the site. You've been getting a lot of good press this week, Si. Yeah, you have actually. Yeah, you have indeed. It's been some good stuff. People appreciating the reportage. About time, eh? About damn time, Simon. Okay, last thing I want to talk about before we go, because I'm sat in a room with no fan and I'm cooking, is the fixtures were released. So Chelsea opened the season with a West London derby against Fulham, then at home to Brighton, then away to Arsenal, then home at Hull, away at Brentford, home to Bournemouth, and then in October, Everton away, Spurs at home, United at home. So some pretty tough sort of back-to-back fixtures there, and then actually December too, the start of December. So it's Palace, Liverpool, City, Villa, like back to back, which is going to be quite tough. We go away to Coventry on Boxing Day, so Lampard Chelsea Boxing Day, super nice fixture, I think. I think January looks completely okay. February for me is a real key month, because when you look at February, it's Manchester United away, Newcastle away back to back, then Ipswich at home, then Villa away. So it's Newcastle and Villa all away in the same month. That's the type of month that Chelsea normally mess up.
You can swear, man, it's fine.
Yeah. That's the type of month where things go wrong for Chelsea. So I'm looking at that February with a keen eye. I think the fixture I'm looking forward to most is the 3rd of March, which is Coventry at Stamford Bridge. I think the Lampard reception will be wonderful, and I really hope Coventry can do something. And then I suppose end the season with Everton, Bournemouth and Brentford. So it's Liverpool, Spurs, Everton, Bournemouth, Brentford. It's not the easiest way to end the season, but I think it's not so bad. And I guess, Si, from your perspective or our perspective, at least Fulham, Brighton, Arsenal Fulham, Brighton, Arsenal, Hull and Brentford, the first three are not awful.
Yeah, am I the only person? I think I might be the only person who doesn't really care how the fixtures come in, because I think it was my dad that mentioned it to me. He said, "Yeah, have you seen the fixtures?" Like, no, I haven't, and I don't really care. Like, we've got to play every team twice. Like, that has to happen. I know, obviously, we look at certain times in the season where these times are crucial, and we don't really want to be faced with a tough period. And I get that. I get people looking at that and saying, "Oh, this is going to be a tough run of fixtures here. Where we go to first?" And I do show a bit of interest. And like you say, the Lampard Coventry game is an exciting one. But yeah, I mean, we have to play every team twice. That's a fact. Like, it doesn't matter when we play them. We have to play them, and we have to get results against them. So, like, it doesn't bother me. Like, people are obsessed with the fixtures, and I'm just like.
Hey guys, leading Chelsea journalist Simon Phillips says he doesn't give a shit about the fixture list because you've got to play everyone twice, so just get it over with.
There you go.
There we go. Happy Thursday. All right, well, I actually think that's a perfect note to end on. Side. Do you have any pieces you want to shout about that are coming out today or tomorrow?
They're all out so far, so yeah, go to the homepage and check those now.
Yeah, indeed. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Appreciate it. I do want to give a shout out to Samantha as well for dropping me a message on Twitter to ask about Pestria in greater detail. I did not respond to her dislike of the England game, which was quite boring against Ghana, because I had apologies, man, but I appreciate the message. Okay, Si, well, we'll be back next Thursday. I actually think things are going to really pick up with Chelsea now. So everyone keep an eye on the site. Si's doing an amazing job. Twitter's pumping as well. We'll be back next Thursday. So in the meantime, enjoy the heat wave. Stay hydrated, stay safe, and have a lovely weekend, guys. We'll be back soon. Bye-bye.